Good morning, and welcome back to my corner of the multiverse. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Margaret, your hostess. I'm so glad you decided to join us for your hump day guilty pleasure. Please take a moment to share, follow, subscribe, download. Let everybody know all about the fun that you have every hump day, listening in to some of the interesting things that we discuss. So as you know, let's jump right on into it. We dropped last week with the episode about avoidance and how to define it. So we're not defining avoidance this week. We are going to talk about auditing yourselves and those around you who behave with avoidant behavior patterns. And what kind of damage does that cause? Okay, because while avoidance gives relief, it gives distance, it gives control, and even temporary emotional safety, you have to ask yourself, what did that relief cost me? So avoiding conversations, avoiding intimacy, avoiding completing a task, what does it cost you? Does it cost you the trust of those around you? Does it cost you intimacy or opportunity, leadership credibility? Does it really cost you your peace? While you may have achieved temporary peace by avoiding conflict, did it cost you long-term peace or true peace or resolution even? And if it did, that also means it cost you time being your most valuable currency. Okay? I cannot say this enough to everyone. And here's the deal. We can talk about time in a number of different ways. I talk about time and being the most productive that you can be. However, how you choose to enjoy the time that you have is your currency. So if you prefer to get everything out of the way for the day so that you have grouped together time where you can sit and put your feet up, that is your currency. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not avoiding completing tasks, getting the job done, handling your adult life, okay, then that's your currency. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everyone needs to fill every minute of every day with something to do that's productive or has a, this ROI that means more money in your bank account. Your ROI could simply be peace and quiet, enjoying the great outdoors, petting your dog. I'm not here to put value on what your ROI is. However, if you're taking the time to sit and not engage in things that are required of you, your laundry, your dishes, your job, mowing your lawn, taking out the trash, if you're not doing those things, but you are taking the time to put your feet up and relax, and there's nothing physically needing you to put your feet up and relax, like you're not sick, you're not injured, okay, that you're avoiding your responsibilities to fuck off. That's not a good return on your investment. Whereas if you took, let's just say it's your day off from work. If you took the morning and got all of those things done that are what I would call your maintenance jobs, laundry, your dishes, mopping floors, taking care of, the trash, etc. If you do all of your errands, all of your things, and you get them all done in the first 3 to 4 hours of your day, and then you have the rest of the day to do whatever you want, that's great. However, if you get up and avoid doing those things, sit with your feet up, play a video game, watch a movie, doom scroll on social media, you're just fucking off and you're still avoiding. I promise you, you'll get no peace from that, because those chores, those responsibilities, those errands, everything will still be there when you're done fucking around. So why put it off? There's no rationale for that. You only have maybe 30 minutes to do something because you have an appointment. Take that 30 minutes, have it be constructive, get something out of the way. This bullshit, well, I'll wait until after my appointment. And then after your appointment comes and you've got another reason to put off that responsibility, you're being a jackhole at that point. All right. So time being your most valuable currency, and avoidance is very good at convincing you to spend it on doing nothing instead of what you're supposed to. So don't do that. And please, 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 I beg of you, stop using excuses. I'm so tired of hearing the excuse, well, I have ADHD. Bitch, so do I. So do I. So how can I get it done and you can't? Because I'm disciplined. Because I know I have ADHD. I can call out what I've got and then use skills to make sure that those things don't handicap me or keep me from getting the job done. Remember what I've said in the past. It's great that you can recognize that you have, some, I don't even want to call it a deficiency, because in all honesty, ADHD is one of my superpowers. Okay. But you don't use it as the excuse for not getting shit done. Don't use it as the excuse, well, I've got this, so I can't. Bullshit, you can't. Bullshit. And just so you know, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, all of these things, they've been around forever. We just didn't have a name for them. We didn't have a diagnosis for it. We didn't have an ICD-10 code for it. Okay? So please, please, I'm begging you. People throughout eternity have been finding workarounds to those issues. Okay, so please stop playing games with us all, because it just doesn't work anymore. And I'm really, honestly and truly tired of fucking hearing it. Whether it be from a contractor that I've hired, a consultant, I don't know, a colleague, someone that I work with, I don't want to hear it any longer. How old are you? How long have you known you have ADHD and you've done not a fucking thing about it? That's avoidance, bitches. It's avoidance. So what does that cost you? It costs you credibility in my book. Okay? Straight up credibility. I will not trust you to ever meet a deadline if this is the bullshit you come to the table with. So find your workaround. Everybody else does, or most other people do, successful people do. Those that can get the job done, they do it. Stop using it as an excuse. Now, from one day to the next, you can have a good day, you can have a bad day. You can say, you know what? Today, I did a shitty ass job containing my distractibility. We all have those days. I had a whole week last week of it. A whole week. Like Monday morning, I knew right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is going to be a bad day. I could feel it already coming. And I tried the workaround, but by noon I was like, oh no, I've screwed the pooch on this deadline. I had a deadline for myself for something and I didn't get it done. Now, fortunately, that specific deadline only affected me. Didn't affect anyone else. It was something I needed to get done for me. Fortunately, it wasn't a deadline for a client, for a colleague, or anything else. But ladies and gentlemen, again, you can call them out, but addressing the issue is still avoidance. And all you're doing is kicking the can down the road. Why would you do that? Why wait until tomorrow, which you can get done today? Why? There's no rationale. No rationale. So, avoidance just doesn't protect you from discomfort. It delays honesty. It blocks your ability to repair some relationships and situations. It damages trust with other individuals. It weakens your leadership. And if you're in an interpersonal relationship, it can even starve intimacy. It keeps you trapped in the fantasy that silence distance and delays are the exact same thing as peace. I promise you, they are not. So in this episode, you're going to audit yourself. Not a shame spiral, not a self-attack, and not an excuse parade, but an audit, because avoidance has receipts too. And we're gonna review this invoice. Now, where does your avoidance show up? Believe it or not, avoidance is protection until it becomes your prison. When you enact avoidance, it becomes a prison. You cannot break free from those when you engage that behavior over and over and over again. Okay? So you're going to audit yourself, find out where avoidance shows up the most. We're going to talk about auditing your thy court. So who enables you, who triggers you, who mirrors you, and then who around you suffers from avoidance. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, here it goes. As we began last week, and we talked about, this 3-part arc. Last week was assessment, definition. This week is the audit. So we talked about what avoidance is, why people develop avoidant behaviors, and how initially avoidance starts at protection. But avoidance patterns are prisons. They're not peace. Your ego ends up being the warden. So, my little darling citizens of the realm, we're not here merely admiring the prison architecture. We're going to audit it. Because I get it. Everyone would avoid discomfort if they could. When you think about pain, we stop doing whatever's causing us pain. We try to find a medication to make the pain stop. In your audit, your medication is to stop avoiding. It's action instead of inaction. Okay? It's one thing to say, I avoid discomfort. It's lovely. It's wonderful. But again, you've called it out. But awareness without examination or action, well, it's just putting a pretty label on something. So, do you audit what that avoidance is costing you? Do you audit where avoidance shows up the most? And do you audit who it affects? Well, this is where we're going today. Now, remember, as always, this is not a diagnostic conversation. I'm not diagnosing you, your ex, your mama, your boss, your business partner, or that emotionally mysterious relationship or situationship that thinks consistency is just a government conspiracy. So, calm yourselves. I'm not meting out medical advice here. We're talking about patterns and about behaviors and how avoidant behavior shows up in real life and what it costs you. Okay? So, here we go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. When you audit yourself, first of all, I want to say this. You should never walk away from the audit thinking you're a terrible person or that you've ruined anything or that you're broken or incapable of love or that you're like some kind of, dysfunctional goblin. Okay, that's bullshit. It's theatrics. And just know that when we're talking about an audit, it's simply collection of evidence. It's collection of data. So you ask yourself what happened, which pattern has repeated itself, what did I avoid, what did I try to give what label did I try to give it? Okay, what did that avoidance protect me from in the immediate moment? Who was affected by my avoidance and what needs to change? That's the difference between self-awareness, i.e. calling out what it is or naming it, and it moves into self-governance. Self-awareness says, I know I avoid hard conversations. Self-governance says, I know I avoid hard conversations, and now I'm going to examine one, why, with whom, what it costs, and what behavior I need to enact to replace it. That is your confidence in your competence to be able to self-govern. Okay, confidence is not wandering around pretending that you have no patterns, because we all do. Patterns are routines. Confidence is the willingness to examine the pattern without taking on this, woe is me, I'm so shameful, right? And then letting that emotional roller coaster take the wheel. So we must audit both ourselves and our court, because avoidance doesn't live in isolation. Our avoidance of certain situations affects other people. And when other people are avoidant or exhibit avoidant patterns, that affects you. So, there are people that will be around you that will benefit from you staying in your avoidant patterns. And let's not pretend otherwise. When you avoid conflict, they enjoy it because they don't get challenged, even when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Others benefit when you avoid asking for what you need, because then they never have to give anything. I need support. If you never say, I need support, other people don't have to take the time to give it. And they get to skate by while you're giving support to everyone else, but no one else is giving it to you. And that's a lonely place to be. When you avoid visibility, those individuals that don't like it, that you're loud or too much. Okay. When you avoid visibility, then they don't have to manage their jealousy or their feelings of inadequacy. See how that works? You making their lives more comfortable for them. That's not your job. Not your job. When you avoid leadership and you don't enact the rules of leadership because you want to avoid that conflict that comes with it, they get to keep fucking around and they never find out. Somebody who never does their job, but you don't want to, deal with the conflict, so you just pick up where they drop shit. No. Okay. And if you don't take accountability, if you avoid accountability, then nobody has to clean up any messes. Okay. When you don't leave a toxic situation and you just stay there in the periphery, all right, other individuals benefit because they get continued access without having to offer respect, clarity, reciprocity, repair, or accountability. So yes, you need to audit yourself, but you also need to audit thy court, the people around you, because sometimes that prison that you're in has corrections officers, it has staff, it has supporting individuals. So we're going to begin with ourselves, with you. Okay, so, not your ex, not the coworker, not the family member who's been a jackhole, all right, since the Clinton administration, but you. It's always easier to identify your own than it is others sometimes. And the real work is identifying where avoidance has been your go-to pattern. So what specifically are you avoiding? Are you avoiding certain conversations, decisions? Are you avoiding naming the truth about a situation? Are you not apologizing for something that you should have apologized for? Okay. Are you not enforcing a boundary? Remember, boundaries are not things that you speak about. Expectations are you only lay out those expectations once. And then boundaries are when someone steps over that boundary, you just walk away. You just walk away. What emotions and opportunities are you avoiding? Are you afraid to put yourself out there for fear that you'll get rejected, so you never take advantage of an opportunity? The ability to maybe shine, show yourself because you fear rejection? I have a surprise for all of you. Every single person on the planet avoids rejection, or I shouldn't say avoids, but is uncomfortable with rejection. Nobody wants to be rejected. Who the hell likes that crap? Are you avoiding risk because you fear the outcome? Because you fear failure? I got news for you. Every one of us fails at something now and again. None of us are perfect. None of us are successful in every single endeavor we take. Boy, do we learn a ton from failure. And what relationship or situationship or friendship are you avoiding ending? Because somewhere along the line, someone told you, that's your family member. You shouldn't do that. They're all you'll ever have in this world. That's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your child. I got news for you. Mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, children can all be absolute pieces of shit, disrespectful jackholes. And when they refuse to alter their behavior, acknowledge their part in any situation or misunderstanding, or they sit in judgment and never, ever, ever talk about any of their own failures, but they point out every single one of yours, and then they pull some bullshit line afterwards saying, oh, you're not the child I raised, you're not the parent I thought I had, you're not the... No, friends, no, that's not how this works. They're the jackholes, not you. And it's okay to walk away from people like that. And I don't care who they are to you. I don't care if they're your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your child, your grandchild, your lover, your best friend. It don't matter. The minute a person consistently disrespects you and does not take accountability for their part in what is going on with this relationship, they no longer deserve, they have no longer earned a place at your table or in your court, in your inner court. Period. Doesn't mean that you can't still love someone. Doesn't mean that you can't still miss someone. You absolutely can, and you absolutely do. But there comes a point in time when you must say to yourself, I'm just not about this fuckery any longer. And you must walk. Because avoiding walking is only wrecking you and empowering them to continue to keep you in a prison. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. Avoidance loves vagueness. And vagueness, being vague, lets avoidance roam free like an unsupervised goat in the palace garden. And I have news for you. If you don't have goats and you let, because I do, and you let them out, they're going to eat your fucking rose bushes, okay, your lilac shrubs and all your flowers. They don't give a shit. They don't care if you told them, don't go near my rose bushes. They're still going to eat your $500 rose bushes because that's what they are. So if you have people walking through your life the way the goats went through my garden, I have news for you. Lock the motherfuckers up. I did. All right. Specificity. When you are specific about an issue, about a problem, about an avoidance, you actually put a leash on it. Okay. When you can say, I'm avoiding telling my partner I'm carrying too much stress, I need their assistance. That is being specific. You don't want to say, I avoid vulnerability. First of all, When we avoid, first of all, vulnerability is a scary place to be sometimes. Because when you make yourself vulnerable, you literally are opening up your armor and allowing someone to come at you like with, like a big old blade to come right through your rib cage. Like what Conan the Barbarian carries, that big old sword thing. Okay. All right. You have to be specific. You can say, I'm avoiding launching this project because I'm afraid no one will be interested in it. Okay. When you say I'm avoiding asking for assistance because I believe I should be able to handle everything myself, that's being specific. Now, you don't say, I don't like to ask for help. I avoid asking for help. That's not really the truth. There's a reason why you're avoiding asking for assistance. And your avoidance is because you think you look weak or you look less than. I got news for you. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. Giving specificity, being specific about why you're doing that behavior is power. And avoidance cannot be managed when it remains in a fog or if it remains unspecified. So, what you call it is extremely important. Avoidance never introduces itself in the light of honesty. Avoidance doesn't say, hello, I am fear, and I'm here. I will be sabotaging your growth this evening. No. Avoidance will say to you, I'm just keeping my peace. I'm being strategic. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm processing. I'm not ready. I'm busy. I don't want drama. I'm just private. I'm an introvert. I'm independent. I'm letting it go. I'm choosing silence. No, bitches, that's not what that is. And you know it. You know it. Now, some of those things can be legitimate. But when you audit yourself, you have to ask yourself, is that the truth? Or am I wearing a costume? Or am I hiding behind a mask? Am I hiding behind a facade? Am I using this billboard to keep from being seen for what's really going on? Okay. Avoidance will dress itself up as maturity and being an introvert and will walk right past your discernment. So, are you really keeping the peace or are you avoiding your own personal discomfort? Are you really setting a boundary or are you refusing accountability? Am I really processing the situation or am I just delaying having to talk about it, shine a light on it, resolve it? Am I really busy or am I using that as an excuse? Am I really that independent? Or do I believe I look vulnerable if I need someone to assist me? All right. That's the audit. It's not what I say I did, but what is it actually, really, honestly, and truly doing? And here's the deal, guys. And I'm going to say it like I've said before. If you are not ready to be honest with yourself, don't bother doing the audit. It's not going to do a fucking thing for you. Again, it's performative. You have to be ready to make those changes. It's not enough to just give it the label. You have to be willing to implement behavior modification, start disciplining yourself and setting up a whole new routine or programming yourself totally different. All right. So your audit must name your discomfort, what you're actually and truly avoiding. All right. Because ego protects that. It will protect you because avoiding things means that you won't be wrong. You won't look like you're needy. You won't look vulnerable. You won't look angry or embarrassed. You won't look like you have fear. That's not going to work. So stop letting the ego, which, by the way, is super loud, shut it up. Sometimes it's quiet. Don't let them see that mattered to you. And that voice might feel protective. But if it keeps you from honesty, from connection, from growth, it's not protecting you. It's not protecting your realm. It's literally guarding your cell door and keeping you locked up. Okay? Yes, you'll get relief from pressure and uncertainty, shame and conflict. You won't be judged. You won't be seen. You don't have to decide. You don't have to apologize. You don't have to risk failure. Avoidance gives you immediate relief. That's why it's so addictive. Okay? It allows your anxiety to drop, the pressure to drop, your fear to drop off, rejection risk drops off. But that's not repair. It's not peace, and it's also not wisdom. Okay? So what does it cost you? Trust, clarity, confidence, closeness, respect, momentum, and ultimately, it really does not eliminate your discomfort. It just delays it. It kicks the can down the road. All right? So you got to address it. And you have to then also audit those around you, thy court. Okay? So when I talk about this, I am under the expectation that you also have a queendom or a kingdom, just like I do, and that you have an inner court, an inner circle. So when you move to the court and begin to audit that, understand that when I say court, I mean people with access to you, your inner circle, family, friends, your team, colleagues, business partners, romantic partners, advisors, clients, community, anyone who influences your decisions, your energy, your behaviors, your standards, and your sense of what is normal. Your court and the people that you surround yourself with matter. Okay? When the rooms that you are in are dysfunctional, healing does not happen there. Improvement does not happen there. New routine patterns do not take place there. Growth does not happen well in rooms where avoidance is engendered because everyone else also thinks that it means peace. And when no one is telling the truth, leadership doesn't happen there. Neither does peace. Neither does healing or growth. And love, for those of you when we're talking about intimate relationships, love does not grow or take place or flourish or live in rooms where emotionally unavailable people think they're sophisticated for the way they're behaving. So while it's an uncomfortable question, it's a necessary question. Who in my court rewards my avoidance? So let's say it's a family member. They don't respect any of your decisions as an adult, and you avoid confrontation and conflict with them. They benefit. All right? So when you stay silent, who benefits? When you don't speak up, who benefits? Who benefits if you don't ask for assistance? Who benefits when you don't hold them accountable for their bullshit behavior? Who benefits when you avoid conflict? Who benefits when you don't leave? Who benefits when you don't grow? Those individuals that don't want you to be more visible, more confident, more direct, more authoritative, and more audaciously authentic. Okay, they are the ones that benefit from you not living your authentic self. They don't belong in your inner circle. They don't belong breaking bread with you at a table, having a meal with you. They don't. These are the individuals that belong closer to the moat than you've ever put them before. So, Sometimes those individuals will also reward you with avoidance. So you avoid hard conversations, they avoid hard conversations. All right? You use sarcasm instead of honesty, or sarcasm instead of vulnerability. You walk away when you feel overwhelmed and you don't ask for assistance, right? And they become unchallenged, or I should say they become unavailable when they're challenged. You think it's peace. You think it's privacy. It's delay. It's deflection. Okay? Everybody's polite. Everybody's distant. Nobody is honest. And the whole room smells of resentment and unspoken expectations and hurt feelings, dysfunction, and unhappiness. All right. This happens with families, teams, marriages, friendships, situationships. It happens in board meetings and on executive boards and organizations. Okay. The culture of avoidance is very easy to mistake for stability because it's quiet. But quiet does not always mean healthy. Think of it. When, as a practitioner and a provider, like as a paramedic and a nurse practitioner, we know that a quiet child does not mean it's a healthy child. Okay? You cry the moment you're born, or at least that's what we want to hear, is you crying the moment you're born. If you're not crying, something's wrong. All right? So quiet does not mean healthy. Quiet can actually mean dysfunction. Okay? So, who in your group sends, like, immediately, it triggers, I hate to use the word trigger, but it activates your automatic avoidance. Okay? Sometimes a person makes you be avoidant because they also don't have discernment and they don't feel safe, right? Sometimes you get triggered by, and become avoidant because they want honesty from you. They want closeness. They want intimacy and accountability. They want consistency, feedback, and follow through. And those things make you uncomfortable. So you got to ask yourself, who do I withdraw from? Who makes me feel exposed? Who do I avoid replying to when they have a question? Who do I feel defensive around? You got to ask yourself those questions. All right. So, and who is harmed by your avoidant behaviors? Who's left confused by your silence? Who's hurt by your withdrawal? Who has stopped asking because asking you felt pointless to them? Who learned not to need you because you made their need feel inconvenient, unwanted? Who has stopped bringing things to your table because you've become defensive over everything? Okay, who carries the emotional labor of your relationship because you avoid difficult conversations? So you have to ask yourself, who is also suffering? And this isn't, this is not about shame. This is about impact. Impact. Even if it wasn't intentional, it matters not the intent. What matters is what your behavior impacted, what your behavior resulted in. All right. So the impact could have been distance, confusion, anxiety, resentment, mistrust, or even disconnection. And mature people can examine impact without it becoming a major problem. I had a conversation recently with one of my own kids. And a few days afterwards, while I was getting ready to do these episodes, I realized, while my statement was factual and while my statement was given without emotion, the impact of my statement left this individual I don't know how to really describe how they felt, other than probably insulted. And I took a moment to apologize and say, it doesn't matter if it wasn't my intention to insult you or to make you feel like crap. It's what happened. And so I apologize. And I could have found a better way to say that to you. And then this person said to me, I don't know what to say. It's weird for you to apologize. And I thought to myself, shit, I've screwed this up, haven't I? So again, in closing, I want you to understand that where I'm coming from is not a place of judgment or me looking down my nose at anyone, because you haven't walked the same path that I have. We all have a different lived experience, but I want you to know that these are experiences that I've been made aware of, that I've done myself, and that I've learned from. I wasn't born with the amount of knowledge that I have today. I gained it through life experience. I gained it through advice from other individuals that I trust, that I respect, and that I believe are honest. Okay, so although your intentions and your behavior were about your own protection, you have to understand that they still have impact on others. And being able to examine that impact without losing your mind is part of being a mature person. So let me say it again. Mature people can examine the impact of their actions without losing their mind and feeling, raging into this whole self-pity or, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. No, sometimes people avoid accountability because they pull on this devastation that they hurt someone else. And a lot of it's fake. Oh my God, I only did the best I could do with what I had. Well, good the fuck for you. Now you know better. Where's the apology now? Where's the accountability now? Pull it up out your ass and let's get to it. Because if they are truly interested in not fucking around with your emotions and your feelings, that's what they'll get around to. And if they don't, then you know exactly where they belong. They belong in the fucking moat with the crocodiles and the alligators on fire, by the way. All right? And what that person does when they claim this level of devastation because they hurt you and they're collapsing into this self-pity mode, they're literally requiring the person that was impacted to have to comfort them. And they're the ones that fucked around. So no, that's not how this works. That's another level of dysfunction altogether. They're not taking accountability. They're not being responsible. They're not, measuring or examining their impact. They're trying to avoid responsibility for it. So this week, get out there, audit yourself. All right. Don't be doing this emotional gymnastics bullshit, because nobody here is wanting to watch your floor routine or your balance beam routine. Okay. When your bullshit has hurt someone else, you don't perform self-pity parties. Your job is to acknowledge your impact, repair it, take accountability where appropriate. And the answer is when you change your behavior and don't do it again. All right. So get out there, figure out who in your court needs to no longer have access. Maybe they belong in the moat. Maybe they belong at council in the outer court. Maybe they don't even belong in the inner circle in the throne room. But you have to figure it out. Who has earned closeness, influence, access, and trust? Who has consistently demonstrated honesty, respect, accountability, and repair? Repair is acknowledgement, accountability, and action to not do those things again. All right. Who have I allowed to stay close simply because that's where they've always been? Longevity is not the same as loyalty. Proximity, they've been close by, does not mean they're trustworthy. And history doesn't fucking matter. Okay? The only history that matters is repeat behavior. That's the historical record. Doesn't matter if they gave birth to you. Doesn't matter if they assisted in your conception. Doesn't matter if they pushed you out of their vagina or through a C-section scar or incision. What matters is how they've shown up since then. And if they haven't shown up and their impact has been negative, you know what you got to do. All right, so get out there. Audit everything. Figure out what you're going to do. I know this audit went on for a while, but these are important things. Stop wasting your most valuable currency on the people that really don't deserve it, that haven't earned it. Okay? Well, I want to thank you all for joining me this week, listening to my rants and raves about accountability and auditing. I look forward to seeing you next week when we talk about action and how to execute certain behaviors and certain disciplines and certain programs, if you will, to rid yourself of the behavior patterns that avoidance has brought to the table. All right? So I'll see y'all next week at your Hump Day Guilty Pleasure in my corner of the multiverse for the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Margaret. Be sure to follow, share, subscribe, and download. And I'll see y'all next week. Take care.